Media Essential Workers, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a little bit of time since I've joined you guys, but the last discussion we had, I think, was very kind of prudent and important, relevant to what we were doing, which was the flex plan. A lot of the freelancers in our community of broadcast professionals rely on the flex plan, and we had Sean Dugan who joined us and kind of walked us through the process of that. I think this has become a very great means by which we can communicate and really get issues out there that affect us all. And to that effect, I want to talk about what historically started Media Essential Workers in terms of this communication. And that's when the pandemic started. A very good friend of mine who's on the ground in the sports world reached out to me, someone I've communicated with a lot. I consider him a friend, although we've never met in person. It's always just kind of been this conversation about what we can do to improve service to broadcast professionals in the union. And that is Stephen Griswold. We call him Griz. He's affectionately known as Griz in the sports industry. And I'm going to pop him up right now because Griz, I kind of want to talk a little about what our collaboration has been. I mean, we started talking on the phone when the pandemic started. You said, hey, it'd be a good idea to kind of explain to people how to apply before even the pandemic unemployment assistance, how people can apply for unemployment. And that's one of the things that you said was relevant. We started collaborating with that, and you were instrumental in helping giving me ideas in how to get this started. Talk a little about how you decided to step up and really just help the people that you work with.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on today.
It's always a pleasure. I consider you a friend. I consider you someone I trust, who's really got their eyes and ears in the sports world. You know, we're very Chicago-centric in a way, and I feel like you provide that conduit to know what's going on in the sports world, and I truly do appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Back to your question about the whole thing having to do with unemployment is on that March day when basically the sports world stopped. Many of the people that we work with and both union and non-union started coming across something that they've never had to deal with before if they were full-time freelancers in the sports world, and like all of a sudden now having to file for unemployment, or we're in a position. And I know, like, I didn't know for certain. I had a couple other people contact me, and I thought, you know what, let's try to get something going here. And you were a great person, and your platform was a great way to reach out to people. I appreciate you jumping on that for everybody.
You know, I absolutely feel blessed that I was in a position to do that. We were talking to Cindy Marie, one of the sports freelancers as well, who said that the mentality was there's always sports, right? So if one sport has somewhat of a hiatus, you have something else that you can cover. But this was a situation where just everything shut down and people were just like, what do we do? I know for a while, ESPN, a couple of other agencies provided a little bit of relief, but we didn't know how long this was going to last.
No, you're right. Sports for the longest time, I felt like it was bulletproof with things like this. And lo and behold, the pandemic across and everything stops. Now we're seeing all kinds of changes and stuff in the sports world due to pandemic and also technology. The changes in technology that have helped a lot of the delivering services, things are done. And so we're kind of in uncharted territories right now.
I'm going to talk to you a little about your experience with the bubble, but just briefly, then I want to talk about, so it's funny, a lot of our members have always done sports, but they've had to branch out into other things as well. Basically, not only to help ends meet, but just basically to be able to keep busy and do other things. And you've gotten into something that I think it's very beneficial for our members to know about, and it's why I invited you here. I want to share about that. Tell us a little about your experience in the bubble. I heard it was a totally different experience. You were in a situation where you weren't working. Now you have guaranteed work, but in an environment very unlike, I'm sure, something you've ever experienced.
Well, you know, I've done shows where I've been on location for long periods of time, but you say long periods of time, even whenever you're speaking like Olympics and things like that, you're talking, you know, anywhere from 2, 3, maybe 6 weeks. And I was, I know it was one of the first ones in for my group, and really one of the last ones out also. And I was there for 82 days. Basically, yes, you know, we were in a hotel and we were being taken care of. We were tested what our group, because I know you spoke with my buddy Darren during that time period when we were in the bubble. And he was a different group. He was in the green zone. I was in the yellow zone. And we were tested twice a week. But there was just that fact that, they wanted us to stay 6 feet apart. We were constantly wearing masks. We couldn't see people smiling. And of course, tensions, and there were a lot of emotions that were going on that made things difficult for everybody, including myself.
So one of the things that I thought was fabulous about when Darren came on, Darren Pierce, that was an earlier show that we had, is he kind of made a blog that chronicled what life was like in the bubble. He talked about how people would bring in personal artifacts, personal items to kind of customize their hotel rooms to make it feel like home. He also mentioned, and I've heard from other people as well, that there were aspects of depression as well, because again, you're pulled out of an environment and you're working, but again, there's an isolation, very unlike what a lot of people have dealt with. I'll tell you, as a news E&G photographer, I work independently now. I'm basically, when I'm working, I'm living in my truck, but I see my coworkers. We'll stand 6 feet apart. We'll have a conversation. You guys as well, I'm sure, were in a position where you'd see people, but then you were isolated. You were kept separate. You couldn't, perhaps you were separated by zones, right? What was that like psychologically, and what was that like as an experience?
Well, psychologically, we were in a hotel that had 300 people in it or more, both ESPN and Turner Broadcasting, or Turner Media, Warner Media, excuse me. We're both in the same hotel, as well as people from the NBA. But you felt that there was a distance. If you got too close to somebody, even sitting down having dinner, sometimes, they wanted us to stay 6 feet apart, if possible. And it was, you felt like you were on an island. Sometimes a simple thing like going for a walk. There was next to our hotel, there was a golf course, and we would get up at 6:30 in the morning and go walk the golf course before they started playing golf, just to get some exercise. There was difference between what ESPN allowed and what Turner would allow. The ESPN people could use the workout facility. Excuse me. And the Warner Media people or Turner people were not supposed to. Simple thing of sometimes just getting something to eat, ordering food. You were stuck in a hotel room on your days off, so that you'd have to wear your mask. You turn around, you go to site, and you're working with these people, but you're still separated. It was a camaraderie that you'd have of a regular show, but there were people there that you found people you can lean on, and people you could talk to, people that you'd spend a lot of time with, just to help pass the time.
Chris, I'm going to ask you this. So we first started talking when I ran for regional vice president, I believe. I had included my phone number. You had contacted me. And ever since then, I think, we've talked often enough where I consider you a friend, although we've never met except for in this platform. And when all this ends, I hope to buy you a beer either there or when you come up here. But tell me, what kind of motivated you to step up and be that person? Because when you are talking to a lot of members, you're not always hearing happy things. You're hearing genuine, honest frustrations. People want changes, and right. It takes a certain type of person to not only listen to that, but be empowered to try to make those changes. What motivated you to take on that responsibility and step up for people and be that guy who called me and holds me accountable into tasks?
Yeah, so that story within itself, that you had your phone number in there and you're running for office, I was like, okay, well, let's see what he knows.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I made that phone call, because now I have a friend up there in Chicago that, when it comes down to me, if I have a question, I call you. And if you can find it, we'll find it together. Back to your initial question, when the whole thing came down, and I believe it was 2014, having to do that, the freelancers were put into the union, which I'm not going to lie to you, it was a total surprise to everybody. Even though the deal was done on July 1st, We didn't find out about it. If you want to call those of us out in the field, we didn't find out about it until a week to 10 days before our first football game of the season. And at that time, I was trying to find, there was so much misinformation that was going on through the grapevines and everything, that I wanted to get to the bottom of it so that at least I knew what was going on. And then if somebody asked me, I could pass that information along to them. And you can, I believe it's Sue there at the front desk there at the local in Chicago. I called
Having
her.
since retired, but a great person, yes.
Oh, wonderful, yeah. And she goes, "Yeah, you're the first person who's called." And I said, "Well, let's get some information. Let's get the correct information." And I just kind of took it upon myself to be that guy. That if you had a question, tell me about it. If you have a problem, tell me about it. And I have no problem making phone calls. I have no problem doing something up the chain to try to find the proper answers, or to be able to answer questions, find the answer for the questions that need to be answered. There was a lot of bad information going on out there, and you know how the old game goes. One person does one thing, and by the time it gets to the end, it's completely different. And that's what was happening. And I was hoping that by me kind of stepping forward and taking the bull by the horns and grabbing that information, the proper information, to be able to pass it along where they can find it and all that stuff. And so I'm very proud to say that, I did that and continue to this day. If anyone has any questions about the union or wants to complain about something, call me, let me know. So that's the only way.
You'll call me.
Well, yeah, normally if I can't find something, yes, you're correct. So, but that's how it works, though. Absolutely. Because you can't be on the ground where I'm at all the time. We can't have representatives on every show. So someone's got to be able to field some of those complaints and everything. And, sometimes I answer the question right on site because, I read the contracts. I understand a lot of that. I help them with an answer. Sometimes you're right. I do. I would say, well, I know a guy. Let me call him. And if he can't find an answer, we'll find somebody who can try to answer it. And I think that's important. We're all paying dues. And, sometimes we don't understand everything that's going on. And, so thanks to you, we do have somebody we can call on.
Well, and one of the things I want to talk about, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on here, is aside from helping on the floor of the shop, on site with the work, you've also been involved in another venture that I think it's going to be very important for our members to find out. Sarah, if I could actually have you scroll that on the bottom, because I want to get that information out there. You have actually become involved in a company called Dalcom Tech, right? That also assists with kind of headsets, and that actually could be very well suited for the COVID environment, and kind of explain that and show us an example, if you have one, of what the product
Sure.
is. Tell us a little about your involvement.
Right. Well, first and foremost, one reason why I got started with this is, and this was before COVID, was I got involved with a company. I started seeing these prototypes. Another manufacturer's rep, Andy Ransom, was showing me the products. And I used to be a camera operator, the handheld guy, running some hard cameras and everything. And I even have a little partial loss of hearing in my right ear from doing a game over at Allen Fieldhouse at the University of Kansas because I wasn't properly equipped. And so I've kind of been trying to help protect and spread the word. You got to protect this, because once your hearing's gone, it's gone. It's like eyesight. It's not like you can go get another set. So through the season, I started these headsets and the questions. I fell in love with the product. It was an amazing product. And I got in contact with the company. And so I've been a manufacturer's rep for them I think I'm going into my second year. I'm in my second year now with them. And then COVID come along. And I'm like, okay, now what? Now there was a real big push for everyone to get their own headsets. My initial had to do with trying to protect the camera guys and things like that. But luckily, Bryce Clark, he listens to what people are saying and what they need. And that's one of the great things about the company is they listen. And so, no, were you going to go ahead, Raza?
Yeah, no. I was just going to ask. So, if you could kind of get into the relationship of, so did you approach Bryce by seeing this product? Kind of talk about how your first introduction was to this product when you were on the site of a shoot, for instance.
Right. Andy had one of the prototype headsets, and I'll show you the first one that he showed me. And this one's right here. This one's for mostly for your cameraman headsets. And this is what is called our J headset. And I'll get my orientation right here. And it's got, this is like a cameraman's headset that knocks down 23 decibels. You figure he was showing me this, and I put it on, and it felt like I wasn't even wearing anything. But then I felt the benefits of I didn't have to turn my headset up nearly as loud. And so it turned around next, I think it was like 3-4 weeks later, we were in Toronto doing a playoff game up there, and he goes, "I got to show you this prototype." And I was like, what is it? He goes, "No, Brian sent me a new prototype. I want you to check it out." So I turned around and he showed me this. And I'll see if I can get it in there. Okay. It's a single headset with a drop down ear. And so the drop down earpiece, so a handheld operator can wear it. I'm like, oh my gosh, where was this back when I was doing handheld? It would probably save my hearing. So, and then I got a phone number and made contact with him, and we've been building the relationship ever since.
Well, and one of the things I want to talk to you, because a lot of people watch Media Essentials fairly often. We try to get as much good information out there as possible. And I want to make sure people realize this isn't an infomercial. This is something that you talked to me about. This was something that I saw kind of value in because, again, during the COVID environment, you want to be sharing equipment. This is something that protects your hearing. Right. I was just watching, there's a Netflix movie, The Sound of Steel, I think it's called, which is basically about a person who loses his hearing. And we take training courses at the station I work in all the time, the decibel levels for audio that's suitable to make sure you protect your hearing. And so when you told me about this, I was like, well, you know what? I don't necessarily like to advertise companies, but this is a company and a product that I think is actually going to be very beneficial to our people to at least know about. You go out there, you decide it's for you, it's not for you, but you should know what's out there, especially during COVID. You don't want to be sharing this equipment. Right. And so you were talking decibel levels, and this is where it got started for me. Yeah. One, the arenas and stuff that we're going into, whether it be outdoor or indoor, are getting louder and louder and louder. I mean, Arrowhead Stadium has the record, I believe it's 142 decibels at an outdoor venue. And it's a Guinness Book of World Records for an outdoor venue, 152 decibels when a jet engine is 110. Wow. And then just down the road from that, at an indoor arena, they set the indoor record at 130 some odd decibels. There were 16,000 people there, and they were hitting 130 plus decibels. And you have the people that are stuck in these environments for 2, 3, 4 hours or more. They constantly being bombarded. On top of that, if you're not wearing a headset that doesn't fits you improperly, then you have to crank up your volume. People, mom and dad said, turn down your radio. Well, if you can imagine, you're putting a headset on, you're having problems hearing your headset. Well, the first thing you're going to crank your headset up. So now you have even more noise going into your ears. And so I've made it kind of a little bit of a mission of mine to try to help protect hearing. And then again, like you said, COVID come along. So now I'm not only looking outside the truck, we're looking inside the truck. And so that's when we come with this headset right here. It's just a simple headset that the people can get. I'm going to try to do it properly here. That you can wear inside the trucks. Now, yes, we have noise levels inside the trucks, but up until
you'd probably go walking into a truck and you would slap on a headset that probably 25 other people had worn within the last month. So that's Bryce helped develop this headset for people that work inside the truck. So I feel that we're kind of serving two purposes here. We're trying to protect people's hearing who are out in the, and we're also trying to help against or any other flu or something like that that could be going through the trucks. So we're kind of now working two-headed beast, really.
Tell us a little bit more about the company too. We were talking a little offline before. It's a smaller company, and you said that Bryce actually takes into account some of the feedback of people who tell him this might need to be changed. This might be something that might be a benefit. Kind of tell us what that relationship's like. And tell us also, like, with your relationship with people in the field and talking to them, how that information has gone back and forth about improving the product or basically making the product more in tune with what people are looking for.
Well, first is like Bryce Clark. I believe the company's been in existence for 3 years now, and he has no problem in listening to things to try to improve a product. We had problems early on where that I had a headset and I was having people test it on out at a baseball stadium, and we found out that there was a problem with one of whether it was in mono or in stereo, and we found out that there was a problem there. We got it fixed. I've had people that turn around and tell me, well, just different facets. What can we do? Because if I had this headset, I won't be able to use it in this truck. This little headset right here has a detachable cable that Bryce came up with for his line of headsets, where that person can turn around and walk in from one truck to another truck that might have a different setup. And it was the people out in the field that actually brought that information to us, one of our early purchases. And she sent the information to me, and that's when we started in modification. We're constantly trying to make the products better for the people. And if there's any feedback or something like that, I send it to Bryce, and he listens to it. And I think it makes our product better for that.
I'm going to take a step back a little now and talk about how has the sports world been for you now that things are kind of resumed, now that things are more kind of on schedule. How has your change in world been? Are you busier than ever now? How does it compare?
No, busier? No. What I would say right now is you're seeing everything being localized, regionalized. For me, I'm blessed in the aspect that I have 7 major colleges around me that are within a 5-hour drive. So right now, I'm basically only going places that I can drive. Every once in a while, I'll get on an airplane and I'll fly somewhere to help out somewhere else. ESPN is few people, but that have to do where I'd normally be doing the NBA right now. They're not flying anybody. They're just doing everything on the local side of things to kind of keep all of us, I guess, in safe positions. So there are shows still going on. You have your cancellations. But the shows aren't the full-blown shows that we used to do. Almost all the what we call the Remy shows for ESPN right now. So most of the time the announcers aren't even on site. They're what's called in-house. So they're actually calling the show their own house.
I was going to ask you, just because Remy is something that I think not a lot of people know about. If you could just kind of give it a quick whirl as to helping people understand what that means. Okay,
sure. Remote operation. And if I'm saying that correctly, I'm sure somebody will tell me that I'm wrong. But the basic concept is whenever we go out to do it in a normal world, when we go out to do a sporting event, we roll a 53-foot truck up there. It has all the equipment in it, all the cameras, the microphones, monitors, everything that we need, the replay systems and all that kind of stuff. And there will be people filling all those positions in the replay rooms, the technical directors, the directors, the producers, the full audio team, all the camera guys. Those of are in the video engineering, all that. Most of the time there would be a group of 30, could be 30, 35 people in the basic show. Sometimes more, less. Now what they're doing is we only basically have on site is an A1, a V1, an A2, and 4 or 5 camera operators. At that point, take those cameras, ship them back to a studio in Charlotte, Bristol, Orlando, and they basically cut the together from a different location.
So this is being all mixed together. All this is coming together from a very far off remote location, not all together like it once was.
Correct. Basically, what they've decreased the number of people that are on site, which helps with having to do with COVID. That helps. But now a lot of the local people who would normally be a tape operator for that show, they're just not getting. There's no work there. But the tape people, graphics people, the producers, the directors, they're in a studio in Charlotte, and that studio may do 2 or 3 games, a weekend. So.
Yeah. What I was going to say is what I really enjoy about talking with you is you not only have your finger on the pulse with what's happening in the sports world, but you're, I think, one of those guys who's just self-motivated and you find things to keep yourself busy. Again, like this company and this product that you're now involved in, and again, helping to get it in the hands of people who can benefit. You talked a little about how you did that. Kind of tell me what are some of the things you're excited about in the next upcoming year, not only with this product, but just in general with what you see. I know sometimes it's easy to get down on the way things are going, but in general, tell me some of the things that you're somewhat optimistic about.
Well, I feel, I don't think COVID's going to shut anything down. What I mean by that is, excuse me, although that technology is kind of kicking in, sooner or later, the shows are going to start coming back. Sports are not going to go away. There's too much money in it for it to just go away. And I think over time, it may take a full 12 months from now or, but eventually everything's going to come back around. I feel positive about that, where that, everyone can come back to work. So I feel good about that. I think that it's all about bringing to a lot of things that the networks are now more aware of that need to be addressed. In a case like this, our health and just getting these shows on the air and everything. So that's the one thing that I think that I can see happening. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time to bring everything back around. Your vaccines, things to kind of just completely come back down again. And then I can see it coming back together here in the near future.
I'll tell you this, Griz. It's great talking to you today. I know we talk all the time, but to actually have this correspondence with you. And I'd like to, if you are interested, I'm planning a few other things. I know you and I have talked about doing some other seminars together. There's
Sure.
one I am very interested in doing, which is kind of like a retirement plan for daily hires, for freelancers, and kind of teach them. Some contracts allow for 401k matching, some just allow for, people should just know how to do it. So I'm trying to get some freelancers together. Maybe you can
Sure.
help me spread the word, but I'd love for you to also join and get some of the questions you're hearing as well.
I'm glad you bring that up, because that's another thing that in this industry, it's a little bit more difficult to plan for. You have to plan for it. Unfortunately, like for me, I didn't really start planning for it until I was 44. And so I'm behind the time for when it comes to retirement and playing a lot of catch up. There are a lot of younger people that are coming into the business now that I think with a little bit of leadership and a little bit of counseling, that they would be better off on down the road as we go. But also, I also know that the younger people, they're also a lot of times going paycheck to paycheck and just trying to make it in the middle. And it would be difficult for them to do it. But it's definitely a topic that needs to be talked about, to try to help that next generation of people come around, so that when they get older, they're not sitting there going, oh my, what am I going to do now? So yeah, that's a great topic to bring up.
No, and again, one of the things is I'm always open to feedback if people tell me something's important. And Griz, you always have your finger on the pulse of what people want to hear too. So if you hear anything that people want to get, let me know. I'll try to see. We'll collaboratively work and try to get these seminars going. Because again, personally, just between some family drama here, you know, we used to do these kind of every week or twice a week, but with some family commitments, since the Flex Plan seminar we had in December, I've taken kind of a month off to kind of recalibrate everything. But we want to make sure that we're out here and getting the information people need. While some of us stuck at home, some of us working in very different environments, we want to make sure that we're getting information out and keeping our people safe and informed.
No, and that's the one thing I like about the platform that you've got here with Media Essential Workers, is that you can pass information along. And if there is a topic that needs to be talked about, you're not afraid of talking about it. You know, and again, I applaud you on doing the whole thing having to do with unemployment, and how that kind of, I know that helped a lot of people, not only, you know, across different groups, not just, you know, I want to say NABID, that we have with ESPN, but across many platforms of people there, and that helped a lot. But there's still, you know, it's not just one group; it's all of them, and you know, good leadership kind of helps take us into on that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And actually, it was interesting because we started this off, you know, kind of for the NABET, IBW. John Rizzo had joined us as well. Then we started getting the IATSE members. Then we just started getting members from the community, and people just started calling, being like, hey, I watch your show. Can you answer this? So if you go on Facebook, actually, there's an Illinois, Indiana unemployment guidance group, which basically just became a group where we give information out to the community, because I guess so many people were looking for this information who just happened to see we were doing it for our union members. But it became such a thing. I think we're up to like 4,000 members now, that I'm just happy we're able to get information out to people who need it, because no one ever anticipates finding themselves in the situation. That's when they need this information the most. So, you know, anything we can do. And Griz, I'll tell you, the people that helped, I attribute fully to you telling me that this is something that needs to be done. So again, I think this partnership, this collaboration we have, again, it's one of the most beneficial things I think that's come out of this, is that we're able to help each other and figure out ways to get something out there that helps people.
Well, I'm going to turn the tables on you. Can I do that? I'm going to ask you.
Only if it's in a good way. Otherwise, I'm cutting the feed.
No, that's fine. But it's just, here's where the one thing that I'm kind of, I know that the people out there, they have all kinds of questions, and they don't understand. One, they don't understand the union contract. They don't understand how this is happening or why this is happening. And of course, having this forum here is a great way to try to spread information, as I mentioned before. What can we do better to communicate with each other? From, let's just say, from the union standpoint, what can we do to try to bridge that gap and try so that we're all informed better?
You know, what I say is encouragement and empowerment. I always liken it to, like, people always come when there's a massive problem and they say, you know, why isn't the union doing anything? I always view it like a gym membership, right? You can pay all the membership dues to that gym that you want, but unless you go out there and you do the work, unless you take it upon yourself to get your messaging out there, get the problems that other people are having and get it conveyed, you're not going to get any benefits. Just like you pay that gym membership, you never go, you're not going to build the muscles. Unless you take it upon yourself to bend my ear, to bend your ear, to just get out there what's going on and be proactive in making sure that you're getting a solution. And if you're not getting a solution, really just keep shaking it. Be that squeaky wheel. Nothing's going to come out of it, right? They always talk about the heyday of unions and then the decline of unions. And I always think that part of that decline is just losing kind of that relevance and that line of communication and that method to get things done. So I think one of the most important things is to empower people, not just to, like, if I have a friend who's having a problem, to empower him to make a big deal about it, to hold me accountable, to read the contract himself, see what he thinks is the thing, and just empowering them to realize the rights that they have as a union member. That's what I think. Well, what do you think? What I've learned, one of the things that I've learned too, is a big part of the job of being a union isn't to say what you think, but to listen and be like, oh, you know what? That's actually a way to think about it. Because again, would I've even have had those unemployment seminars if you didn't tell me, hey, there's something I think you need to do? What do you think would be a good step to go forward? See, I turned it right back on you.
Oh man, well done. So here's the one thing that probably bugs me more than anything else is, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to state this, is sometimes people don't know who to contact. And I'll use this as an example. Yeah, I was a little bit more I attacked it once things kind of started running. I was and I kind of told myself I'm going to do my best to make lemonade out of lemons. I'm not necessarily a union person, but I'm in this situation and I need the answers. And I started with Chicago. Next thing you know, I'm talking with New York, and I got answers from New York. Next thing you know, I'm talking to National, and I'm talking to all these people until I finally got some answers that I could pass along to other people. Now, not everybody's that way. I've got people in Oklahoma that not sure who they need to talk to. And Oklahoma is out of San Francisco, if I remember that correctly by the map. Texas is up with Chicago. And sometimes because of that distance, that there's not the communication that needs to be done. If they turn around and call, go, well, I'm calling from Oklahoma, I'm a member, or I'm looking to try to become a member, and it's just kind of, they don't get the information that they need. And I think that we need to all pull together, and I'm talking to all of us. We need, the people in Chicago and the people in New York, people out of Washington, D.C., all the four majors we have that we all need six. Okay. So out of all of them, we all need to get together and just sit there. Okay. We've got people that are scattered all across this country that need answers, and we need to have a united front on this, because I know it's like one answer that we might get in Chicago would be different than what we would get from San Francisco or what we would get from Washington, D.C. So I think that would be beneficial to us. And maybe one central location that people can call and have that information. I know that there's a website. You and I talked about that, and the website have to do with sports, the sporting side of things, but it doesn't really answer the questions a lot of times of what people are looking for. For one of the last times that I looked, and I haven't been on a while, so I apologize. I had someone ask me about the rate for a position, and knowing what his position was, and I kind of looked and I thought, okay, I went to that website because I knew there was a rate card on it, and it was a rate card from 2014 to 2017. Well, that didn't really do me much good. So of course, I dug a little bit deeper and was able to find it. But for somebody for themselves who's trying to find that information, we just need to be able to update our information as we go. So because I know we're getting ready to go into a new contract, it's been extended for negotiation 6 months. And here's another thing: we don't even know what's being negotiated. Where do we find that information? We can't, as far as we know, it's just going to be another contract. Where can we find that information? That's the type of information that I think needs to be passed along to people so they feel involved. It's not that they're sending their money into the unions, but they want to feel like that they're part of it.
I think it's a very fair point, because it's not just the first time I've heard it from you, but this is from you down southwest to a couple of people at shops here. When you're hearing the same kind of sentiment, you're hearing the same kind of frustration, you start thinking maybe there's a pattern that needs to be addressed. So I think that an exceptionally fair point. And I think one of the biggest things is, like you said, getting that information out there, making sure that people know what they need to be able to access in order to benefit themselves and get the information they need. I'm going to, for a second, take it back, because this reminds me, there is one bit of information that I think you should share, which is if anyone's watching this and is interested in this product, you had a coupon code, right, that entitles them to somewhat of a discount. Actually, sir, if you could put this code in there as well. I want to make sure that people who have made sure to listen to this get access to this if they want to partake in this, which I really hope they do, because Griz, if you are saying it's a product at least worth considering, I believe you. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to order one too. I'm one of those guys. I don't like the little IFBs. I like the headsets. So when I'm listening, I always got a headset. People make fun of me sometimes because in ENG it's not very typical, but I just like the feeling of the headset. I just feel like it puts me more in the moment of what I'm documenting.
Well, first, I'm talking about, like I said, I'm an old ENG guy myself, and I know what it's like to have to try to listen in a noisy situation, maybe an accident scene or something like that. And we've got a set of earbuds. These are military grade. That I wear these on plane. I wear them, all the time. You can plug them into your phone and all that kind of stuff. These are military grade with a 29 dB knockdown. So it just drops that much more noise. Plus, especially, and I know you're up in Chicago, where that it gets cold. These will fit into your ear very nicely, and you'll be able to hear and still be able to wear that nice stocking cap that I should have got you for Christmas. You can wear these. Another simple little thing that you can do to help protect your hearing. Now, the code that we were talking about is it's a 15% discount through the end of the month right now, and it's the code is safety. The word safety. Because that's the whole idea that I'm trying to pass along, have to do with these headsets, is the safety factor affecting your hearing.
And we had earlier the website, if we could roll that again. But I think this was just great. I think it was a good opportunity to get information out about what you guys are doing,
right,
and just how people can access it. So I really do appreciate you coming on, talking about this. Like I said, I do want at some point for you to return for this seminar I'm doing about 401ks, retirement, and recruit people. Try to get as many people who you think would be interested. I know you always do, but let's get this information out as well. Does it look like we spelled safety right?
Appreciate it. Well, I'm sitting here watching. I look correct.
Okay, great.
But yeah, the word safety. And that's the code for your viewers here on the program that want to check things out, and if they see something that they like, go to .com, check out the products. Even if you're into aviation, we have aviation headsets also. That's kind of where it started, and we've moved over to the pro audio video side of things, and we're starting to have a pretty good following there in the audio video side of things.
Give me an idea, that military grade one that you were just showing, how much does that go for? I think I may order that right after this as well.
Why don't you go to the website? I can't, I'm not sure where we are on the current price of that right now. I haven't had a chance to look and see where our pricing is on that. But I have a set of those around me, through airports and on the airplanes and everything. But definitely something for ENG guys to check out. They're detachable. The tips here are a foam, military foam that's screwed off, and we also now have a partnership where you can get custom ear molds to go with these also.
Very cool.
So if you, we've been working hard on that. That was something we were talking about suggestions and stuff, and the suggestion came out about getting the ear mold. And for things like this, or what we call our J2 Dual, which is the where you could get the custom ear mold, and we're a company on that. So we're going to have that available for everybody too. Again, the more you can protect your hearing, the better.
That's absolutely great. And one thing I want to remind viewers as well is, again, like we were talking about, it's all about empowering. It's all about getting to know each other, especially in a situation like this. I was a small business owner myself. I understand the importance of doing things. I understand the importance of if you have a passion. I want to make sure that our community is broadcast professionals. hey, we know each other when we work, but I want people to know what people are passionate about, get to know that other aspect of your friend. So if you kind of have something that you're passionate about that you want to get out there, just like I told Griz, come on here, let's talk. Let's get some of our friends together who we haven't seen forever and just have a conversation. And that's what I'd really like to do, is just for us to get to know each other while we're isolated, remain in a situation where we can be close to each other, because you know what, we do the same thing. We have very similar passions. Let's empower each other, one another.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because, you know, sometimes you don't realize what you can do to help other people with something that you are passionate about. You know, this whole thing, a lot of this all started for me is because I was sitting back in the truck in the video room, and on the other side of the wall, on the other side of the monitors, were two, 10-ton air conditioners going full blast with air exchange units going on and everything. I actually pulled someone from ESPN safety aside one time, and I said, I want you to come back in this room. And he goes, wow, you know, it's really noisy back here. And yeah, it is. And you expect me to be a director or a camera operator with a simple headset. That's where I started looking for a different headset to wear, just so I hear a director, you know, and try to protect my hearing. But I was having problems hearing. And at that point, that's where I started doing the research, and ended up with this partnership and friendship with Dalcom Tech. So
that's awesome. Stephen Griswold, Griz, as you're known, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking an hour of your time. I just see that that Bryce put up the price here, which I'm going to share as well, for the military grade earbuds we were talking about. Bryce, thank you for also joining us and letting us borrow Griz for the evening. Again, man, I'm just always so glad when we have the opportunity to talk. Usually you text me, hey, is there anything going on? Do you have a second? I'm always like, well, I'm dealing with the kids and the wife. So any excuse to get away, I'm absolute. So I'll walk out and be like, yeah, let's stop for 2 hours. Get me out of the house. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you spending the afternoon with me. And let's talk more about these other seminars we got coming up. But it's always a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine for taking the time and giving us the platform to talk not only about you know, the wonderful products that we got here, but talking about what we need to talk about in regards to trying forward with you know, things within the union, and you know, to try to make things better for all of us as we move forward. I'd like to see I think we're at a good starting point, but I don't think we're where we need to be yet. So, but communication is going to be all that, and you know, having a platform like this is great to have.
Sounds good. And we'll keep it going, and we'll keep doing that work that we obviously need to do. Thanks a lot, buddy. We'll talk soon. And I'm sure by the end of the week, we'll have something else to discuss. So I'll talk to you then. I'll talk to all of you guys. I'm hoping to have these platforms more regularly than I've been doing in the last month. Hopefully we can get it again going Sundays at 7, which is what we were initially doing. So we'll talk to you then, and I'll talk to you later, Griz. Bye now.
Take care.